Good evening. Uh, Welcome to tonight's session, which is going to be all about secrets in literature. It does look as if I might have a mildly dodgy connection. Do tell me if it's being tricky. Here I am in Suffolk at my mum and dad's house. I've got a fire lit, which I'll just try and show you there. Uh, there it is. And I'm wearing a rather amazing costume, which came from, we think, from China, but we're not 100% sure. It is a very beautiful garment, which I'm trying to show off to you without total success. Here it is. And I feel rather like I myself am a secret garden wearing this outfit because it looks like a garden. And I've been thinking about secret gardens for this whole last few weeks because that's the theme that I've been covering in my art classes this term, secret gardens. Simon, great to see you, and the lovely Libraria Jacaranda, viewing all sorts, and Anne, great to see you all here this evening. I hope the connection's going to hold out. This is going to be one of the last times I can do a session from here at my parents' house because the house is going to be sold to someone else very soon. So I'm just trying to give you a bit of a view. Look, there's the garden. That is the secret garden outside the windows of my parents' house. And I'm making the most of it while I still can. So, secrets in literature is what we're going to be talking about this evening. And I need to grab my notes, but I would love to know if you have any particular favourite secrets in literature. Greetings from Barcelona, says Libraria Jacaranda. Great to see you. I bet you've got some really great secrets in literature that you could tell me about. Tell me your favourite books with secrets in them. One of the ones that, of course, instantly comes to mind for me is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, in which there is a garden that a little girl finds when she finds a key with the help of a robin, and she enters the secret garden, and that's when her heart begins to heal after she's been having an incredibly difficult time because her whole family died. I'll just give you a little glimpse of the garden there and our dog, who is completely obsessed with the garden. All she wants to do is go outside all the time because this garden is so much more exciting than our garden at home. And it's also full of amazing creatures, which we don't have at home, where we just have the chickens and the cats. But here, there's countless rabbits, squirrels, and other interesting flora and fauna. So, sorry, I am rambling a lot before I get to the point, which is secrets in books. So, The Secret Garden is obviously one of the greatest secrets in literature, and I love the way, oh, I don't know if I can sit here. I think the connection might be too bad. I love the way the garden in that book remains a secret for probably the first half of the book until Mary finds the key to the secret garden, and then she goes in, and then her life begins to change. However, I'm going to be talking about quite a lot of other secrets in literature this evening because I do think that secrets are seductive, irresistible, provocative, and exciting. Secrecy involves the intentional concealment of information from others. Deception, in the form of having secrets, is deeply ingrained in human communication. We could say that once a secret is unveiled, it becomes a revelation. Sharing a secret is a really pretty irresistible thing to do for lots of people. And when you do share a secret, it can have a very negative impact on the person that you share the secret with. And people don't always think about that when they share the secret. They just want to unburden themselves. They don't think about the negative harm that it might have on the person who's receiving the secret. But of course, that's the kind of thing that is explored brilliantly in novels. The Scientific American has done a really great um, whole exploration of the modern science of secrecy. And there's a big article in the Scientific American all about the way that secrets can affect your mental health. So, secrecy is associated with lower well-being, worse health, and less satisfying relationships. Researchers linked secrecy to increased anxiety, depression, symptoms of poor health, and even the more rapid progression of disease. There is a seemingly obvious explanation for these harms. Hiding secrets is hard work. You have to watch what you say. If asked about something related to the secret, you have to be careful not to slip up. This could require evasion or even deception. So many people in real life and in books spend entire years of their life evading being discovered for their secret, and this has a huge effect on them. Think about the amazing book Passing by Nella Larson, which is a great book about a woman who is black and she passes for white in Brooklyn, in New York in 1924. And she has to keep her status as a black person secret from her actual husband, even though she looks white and she passes as white. And this is a really awful secret that she carries around with her for years and years. And it obviously has a terrible effect on her well-being and makes her a very complicated character and rather bitter. However, um, the concept of secrecy might evoke an image of two people in conversation with one person actively concealing from the other. Yet, such concealment is actually uncommon. Far more common to ruminate on our secrets. It's our tendency to mind wander to our secret that seems most harmful to well-being. So it's the idea of, if you have a secret and your mind keeps wandering to that secret, that is what's harmful to your mind more than the actual secret itself, and more than the idea of sharing the secret or actually letting it slip. It's the harbouring of the secret and the ruminating on the secret as if it's a stone in your pocket that you can't help but keep fiddling with. That is what does the damage. So, the Scientific American, just to talk about this a little bit more before we go into the world of fiction and secrets, they say that they found that 97% of people have at least one secret at any given moment, and people on average have an average of 13 secrets. God knows how they found that out, and that's a really weird thought. How many secrets do you have? Anyone brave enough to tell me how many secrets do you have at any one time or right now? Go on, put it in the chat and let me know. A survey of more than 5,000 people found that common secrets include preferences, desires, issues surrounding relationships and sex, cheating, infidelity, and violations of others' trust. But I'd love to know, what kind of secrets do you keep? Do you have secrets about relationships? Do you have secrets about money? I bet there's a lot of people with secrets about the shopping that they do out there. That might be maybe something that I have the odd secret about, I have to admit. So, following up this research in the Scientific American, a new paper reveals why thinking about secrets is so harmful. Turning the question around, we, in the Scientific American, this is, examined the consequences of confiding secrets. We found that when a person confides a secret to a third party, it doesn't reduce how often they have to conceal the secret from others who are still kept in the dark. Rather, it reduces how often their mind wanders towards the secret in irrelevant moments. So, sharing your secret helps you to stop thinking about it so obsessively. I guess that is the gist of the story and the gist of why maybe people want to share their secrets because they stop worrying about them so much. So, I'm giving you a view of the fire and realizing actually that this room, which is a beautiful room, is looking a bit bare because it used to have a lovely mirror up there above the mantelpiece. But because the house is going to be sold soon, we're slowly taking things out of it, which is rather sad. But I will just give you a bit of a view of the garden out there and the chaise longue, which I am going to be taking home. And my daughter Morgan is really keen on that. And that was my mum's pride and joy, that chaise longue. And it is a beautiful thing. I intend to recline on it as much as possible and read books. Anyway, that's an aside. So, secrets, why we confide them, because it's cathartic and relieving. But mere catharsis is not enough. What's so great about confiding a secret is actually the conversation that happens afterwards, after you confide the secret. It's the act of talking about it and clearing your mind of it. And this is what's so great and brilliant about secrets in books. Um, People conceal a secret. Eventually, the secret is revealed in most cases, and then the catharsis comes afterwards. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier is one such novel where there is a great secret at the heart of the novel, which is revealed quite near the end of the book, and the catharsis comes pretty late in that instance. But it's a great, dark, brilliant, brooding secret, and it comes with a very high price that's paid. Another one that comes to mind as a brilliant secret in a novel is The Human Stain by Philip Roth. And I don't want to tell you, I don't want to give away what the secret is in any of these instances because that would just spoil the book. But that, believe me, is a fantastic secret. And the revelation is quite a big body blow. And it really is very powerful and thoroughly recommended as a great read. That also suddenly makes me think of another brilliant secret in a book, which is We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler, in which there is a secret about a family which is revealed halfway through the book. And I can't tell you what it is because that would spoil it, but it's really shocking and great. If you're going to read it and you never have, don't read any reviews about it because that will spoil it for you. One of the people that I found reviewing on Amazon was looking at thoughts about secrets and books about secrets that were coming up. One of the reviewers, I think it was actually on Goodreads, said, "Secrets are my favourite. I love stories with lots of secrets. The reasons why the characters kept the secrets, why people want or need to know them, and what impact those secrets will have on the characters once they're exposed is always fascinating to me." So people do love books with secrets. It is a very frequent trope of an exciting novel to have a secret at its heart. Apologies for the fact that I keep moving around. I'm not in my usual habitat and I'm trying to work out the best way of holding my phone and talking to you at the same time. I'm going to make this a slightly shorter one than normal, by the way, because of the fact that I'm not at home and I don't have all my books to hand. So, moving on to some of the best secrets in fiction, and I would love to know if you have any favourites. Do tell me. So, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, we've already mentioned. She has a great secret. Um, which I'm sure most of you know if you haven't read it. It's absolutely gripping, brilliantly written. One of those novels you can read again and again. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald is a book also of secrets. It's a book about a man with a shady past, and James Gatz, who is Gatsby, is proof in a way that we can reinvent ourselves completely. But the secrets in the book are rather too detrimental to the health of some of the main characters. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Clarissa Dalloway's private life uh, is very beautifully portrayed by Virginia Woolf in this book, which all takes place on one day. Mrs. Dalloway feels a disconnect between herself and her husband, but she's ambivalent about this disconnect. However, in the midst of this isolation, she still feels incredibly powerful, untouched, and unhindered. And she remembers her past lover during the process of the book. And it's a fantastic feminist portrait of solitude and secrecy. Uh, of course, there are a lot of rather fabulous secrets to be found in books. And what is another interesting aspect of the whole idea is the secrets that the author keeps from the reader. So they're not the secrets belonging to the characters, they're the secrets belonging to the author, such as the one that I mentioned earlier, which was the Karen Joy Fowler. We're all completely beside ourselves. The author keeps a fantastic secret from her readers and then reveals it at a perfectly great moment. Another book that explores secrecy in an interesting way, so my hair is going slightly crazy this evening, is The New Finnish Grammar by Diego Morani, which is a book I mentioned before, thinking about identity, but it's also really interesting to think about it in terms of secrecy. It's about a wounded soldier found washed up in Trieste with no memory, unable to speak. He starts relearning the Finnish language, and he's assumed to be Finnish. He tries to remember a past life as a Finn, which might be fictional. And with every word that he forms in his mouth, he strives towards reinventing a self that doesn't belong to him at all. It could be that he is creating a whole life which never existed before. His life as he knew it before is actually a secret from himself, which is quite a fantastically insane and great idea. So that's the New Finnish Grammar by Diego Morani, which is all about a man who's lost his identity. Another fantastic book that has a great lot of secrecy in it is Another Country by James Baldwin, which is a fierce portrait of rage, denial, violence, and jealousy. It's a great mess of characters who are keeping things from one another, keeping secrets from one another. Baldwin describes a lover's face as a mystery containing, like all mysteries, the possibility of torment. Yes, there's the heavy secret of life in the 50s as a gay man, but there are also all the terrible things that these characters do and have done to one another. This is a sweat drenched and unrelenting book full of secrets. American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. Need I say more? That is a book which me and my husband debated about for an entire evening on our first date. You could say that it's the book that brought us together. I kind of wish I'd never read it because it's so hideous. He thought it was brilliant. It is a book all about giant, hideous secrets. Um, and it is a book perhaps of its time, we might say. The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje, which is a book of kind of more traditional type of secrets in a way, about love, about a love affair, and a secret past as a Hungarian count, a doomed love affair with a married woman. And it's very beautifully written. It's one of those books that evokes so much through its incredible language. Carol by Patricia Highsmith is another fantastic novel full of secrecy, which is a book about a double life of a gay woman, again in the 50s. And Patricia Highsmith actually wrote the book under a pseudonym because she didn't want to be outed as a lesbian herself. And it's a book about a happy gay relationship, or not always happy, but it does have happy moments. And it's a very beautifully written novel where not a lot happens. It's quite slow, but it has a very wonderful heft and grace, and it does bring you along with its drama slowly but surely. Um, Another fantastic book with a secret in it is called Secret by Philippe Grambert, a French author, which is about somebody growing up in post-war Paris as the sickly only child of glamorous, athletic parents. The narrator invents a make-believe brother who's older, stronger, and more brilliant than he can ever be. It's only when the boy begins talking to an old family friend that he comes to realize that his imaginary sibling had a real predecessor, a half brother, whose death in the concentration camps is part of a buried family secret that he was intended never to unearth. So, this is a rather fascinating and brilliant concept. It's called The Secret. It's by Philippe Grambert, and it's about a boy who feels like he's failing to live up to the expectations of his parents. So he invents for himself a more successful older brother, only to discover that he really did have an older brother who died in the concentration camps. And he was not meant to discover that. So that is a great book, actually called The Secret. Then lots of you might well have read The 13th Tale. Oh, I'm getting some comments here. The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. That is an absolutely fantastic book. Thank you very much for that. And indeed, a book with some fabulous secrecy in it. I wonder if anyone else out there has read it here this evening. Do tell me if you have. And do tell me if you have any other ideas of brilliant books with secrets that you want to share. So many of them are out there, but there aren't so many where the secret is the heart of the novel. Another one that comes to mind is Diane Setterfield's The 13th Tale, which was a hugely successful bestseller. And it is indeed a fantastic idea, as if, so it's written by a woman who's a writer. So the narrator is a writer, and she apparently had a 13th tale, which has never been discovered, which is meant to be the true story that gives us the solution to the riddle of her childhood. So the heroine is called Vida Winter. She has a collection of 12 stories, and there's meant to be a 13th story which is missing. So the missing 13th tale is in itself something that we're looking for. And as well as the fact that it's missing, it's also has the secret to her true childhood, because Vida Winter is highly enigmatic. She's spent the last 6 decades creating various outlandish life histories for herself, all of them inventions that have brought her fame and fortune, but have kept her violent and tragic past a secret from the world. She summons biographer Margaret Lee, a young woman who has her own secret about her own birth lurking in her background. And she asks her to write her true biography. But She doesn't actually. Um, ooh, hello. Sorry, are you still there? Having a little bit of a moment. Um, she doesn't actually want to give away her secret. So, this is a book with a lot of double, triple, and quadruple secrecy um, in its pages. So, that's the 13th tale. Um, So, as Vida disinters the life she was meant to bury for good, Margaret, the narrator, is mesmerised. It's a tale of gothic strangeness featuring the Anglefield family, including the beautiful and willful Isabel, the feral twins Adeline and Emmeline, a ghost, a governess, a topiary garden, and a devastating fire. It all sounds a bit like a Stephen King novel, doesn't it? But it is a fantastic read. It sounds like it would be a complex story, but it's one of those stories that keeps you going. Um, 1 minute, I just have to do something to my notes. I'll be back with you in 2 secs. Uh, hold your horses. There we go. Coming back to you there. Yay. Um, The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. This is set in Australia, 1926, and it's about a man, Tom Sherborne, who goes to live in a lighthouse on Janus Rock. You know things are going to be bad when it has a name like that. A rock that looks both ways. It's not going to be good. And he goes and lives on this lighthouse with his young, bold, loving wife, Isabel. They keep trying to have babies, they can't. And one day, Isabel hears the wailing of a child on the rocks, and she finds an abandoned baby in a boat. Won't tell you too much more about it. And she takes the baby as if it is her own. Then, over the years, the baby grows up. And of course, one day she's going to discover her true origins, her parents, who are her parents, where did she come from, and how was she found in this boat. So that is The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. And it's a really great read. It won various awards for being a brilliant historical novel. And it really is a gripping read, and it does explore themes of maternal desire and secrecy and what happens when a secret comes out in a very brilliant, sad, moving way. Another one of a similar ilk, it has to be said, because it also pertains to birth and motherhood, is The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, which is about Dr. David Henry, 1964, forced by a blizzard to deliver his own twins. His son is perfectly healthy, but when his daughter's born, he immediately sees that she has Down syndrome, rationalizing his actions as a need to protect his wife. He makes a split second decision that will alter all of their lives forever. He asks the nurse to take the baby away to an institution and never reveal the secret. But Caroline, the nurse, can't leave the infant. So instead, she goes to another city to raise the child herself. So you can see where this might be going. What's going to happen when the child grows up and the mother discovers what's happened, and the mother that looked after the child as her own is also going to discover what happened. So that is a really great book. The Secret Keeper. Sorry, do I mean that? I mean The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. Another one, which is a great gripping book with secrets in it, is The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton, which is set in the 1960s. Laurel Nicholson, age 16, witnessed a shocking event. She saw her mother doing something deeply shocking and outrageous, and she was the only person to witness it. We then fast forward to 2011, where Laurel, the 16-year-old girl, is a famous actress in her 60s, and her mother Dorothy is dying. Of course, Laurel wants to discover what happened all those years ago, and she starts digging up family secrets, and what she finds is going to complicate her life in a major way. So many secrets, so many great books to read. Um, One that also came up when I was thinking about this topic was Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, in which there are quite a few deep, dark secrets, but the major secret in it is the one in which the twins, Hamnet and his sister Judith, they swap identities at a particularly important moment. It's a fantastic book. Definitely one to pick up if you haven't read it yet. It is a book which does have a lot going on in it, and the aspect of the twins swapping personalities, swapping their destinies, swapping their fates is a really powerful one, which obviously was based on Maggie O'Farrell's own brilliant ideas and creativity, not anything that could be ascertained from historical record, but it has a completely poetic truth to it, and I think it's fantastic. So I am coming to an end, I think, about books relating to secrets. Um, Of course, oh, one of the other ones that came to mind that I must mention, which is fantastic, is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. Thanks to Calypso for reminding me about that book. In that young adult book, there is a really superb secret, which I'm not going to reveal, kept between a mother and daughter. So it's a book about a girl who is allergic to absolutely everything, and she's kept inside the house. Um, so as for her own good, she's kept uh, effectively locked up behind a screen as if she's in a bubble. And it's about how she then falls in love with the boy next door, which I know sounds like a cliche, but it's really well done. It's a really great read. You might have seen the film. The book is a million times better, and it does have a really fantastic secret, which does come as a great revelation. Just one more to mention before I stop. Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. So when Byron and Benny's mother dies, she leaves them two things: a frozen black cake made from a beloved family recipe and an 8-hour voice recording. The siblings have been estranged for years, but are thrown back together to uncover the truths their mother has held back and to share the frozen black cake. Would you do that? Would you unfreeze the black cake left by your mother, possibly for years? They were told to unfreeze it and eat it when the time is right. How do you know when the time is right? It's a delicious and gripping tale that sweeps the reader across decades and continents, turning everything the siblings think they know about themselves and their family on its head. So that's Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I did once defrost a similarly ancient cake, our wedding cake, which we kept in the freezer because we were told that that was a good and normal thing to do. And we did unfreeze it on our first daughter's, Morgan's, first birthday and ate some of that delicious cake, which was made by my amazing brother and sister in law, Anna and Chris. And so we did eat the cake, which must have been a good 3 years old. And it was great. It was delicious. It lasted well. So there's quite a lot of secrets there, which I've been sharing with you. Um, I wonder if you have any personal favourite secrets in literature. I'm wearing my secret garden cloak in honour of secrets this evening and in honour of my mum and dad, because this cloak is one that was in my mum's family for many years, but we don't really know its origins. So if anyone recognises this kind of textile, do tell me, because you might give us a revelation, which would be very helpful. There's Beetle the dog having a little sleep on the sofa. Don't know if I can show you that very clearly with my laptop. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. It's a short one tonight because it's all a bit crazy with the um, unusual place where I am. But thanks a lot for coming. Do send me in any suggestions that you have for secrets in literature. I'd love to know if you have any favourites. Um, Somebody did send in the suggestion that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a book with an amazing secret, and the secret in that book is the wardrobe. But I'm sure there's also quite a lot of other aspects of the book which involve secrecy, such as Edmund keeping it a secret from his siblings that he is going to betray them to the Snow Queen. There's a lot of secrets in children's books which I barely scratched the surface of. So this is a topic that I can definitely return to. Really great to see you all here this evening. Thanks for coming, and hope to see you next time. I will see you in a week's time. I might actually be back here again. So see you next Wednesday for another topic. Do tell me if you have a topic that you'd like me to tackle. Um, I have lots of ideas, and I would very much like to think about topics that might help you in a bibliotherapeutic way. So I love doing topics like secrets in literature, but I also love doing topics about aspects of books that are therapeutic. So do send me in any suggestions, either on Twitter or Instagram or by email. Thanks a lot for coming, and see you next week. Good night.